Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Kim Ades of Frame of Mind Coaching. Kim, it's awesome to have you on the show.
I am thrilled to be here. You have no idea. I'm so excited.
No problem. Super excited to have you on as well. And you're doing so many phenomenal things. I wanted to read a little bit more about Kim so you can hear about some of those awesome things that she's doing. And Kim is the president and founder of Frame of Mind Coaching and JournalEngine software. Recognized as an expert in the area of thought mastery and mental toughness, Kim uses her unique philosophy and quirky coaching style to help business owners and leaders identify their personal blind spots and shift their thinking in order to yield extraordinary results. Author, speaker, entrepreneur, coach, mom of five, Kim's claim to fame is teaching her powerful frame of mind coaching process to leaders, parents, and influencers worldwide. Kim, are you ready to speak to the IMCL community?
I am ready.
Awesome. Let's do it. And to kick everything off, I wanted to kind of rewind the clock a little bit on all the accomplishments that you have and hear how you got started. Could you take us through your CEO story? We'll let you get started with all the awesome things you're working on.
Sure. So I'm a bit of a serial entrepreneur, you could say. Ever since I was a kid, I was that kid who went to the beach in Cape Cod with my family and all the friends. And I used to sell massages on the beach for $2 a pop, 10 minutes, $2 at the time. I was like raking it in, right?
Nice.
And as I got older, I kept on being really seriously interested in businesses. The next business I owned, I was like 20 something years old, and I owned a balloon business, and we used to do balloon decorating for people's parties and weddings and things like that. The next business was a business called Upward Motion. And we used to build simulation-based assessments to help companies make better hiring decisions. And that really, really made a big impact on me in terms of bringing me to where I am now. Because what we ended up doing was testing people to figure out who would be a top performer in any given industry, in any given role. So we were looking at their IQ, we were looking at their personality traits, we were looking at their skill sets, we were looking at everything. And there was one key differentiator of top performance that kept surfacing over and above all other characteristics. And that was if a person had a high degree of emotional resilience, they would be much more likely to succeed. And so fast forward, I ended up selling the shares of that business many years ago, and I got hired by a coaching company right after that. And I lasted with them for about 8.5, 9 months because I'm really not designed to work for other people. I think you could relate to that. But in that time period, I got an opportunity to observe how other people do coaching. And I thought to myself, I think they're doing it wrong. I think there's a better way. I think they're missing the boat. And so that's when I decided to start Frame of Mind Coaching and really bring forward a different approach, a different philosophy, a different style of coaching to the table. So here we are now, 16 years later, and I have a team of coaches in Canada and the US, and we certify people in what I call the Frame of Mind coaching process, or process for Americans.
There you go. No, I absolutely love that. And I almost wonder if you would definitely agree with this. I always say I'm a strong believer in binaries, that sometimes you have to experience the bad to know the good. And it kind of sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, by having that experience where you were working in that business, it made you understand that this is something that's not quite hitting the marker. It could be a lot better. Had you not experienced that, maybe we wouldn't even be here talking about at least this business now.
Well, I agree with you. And I'm a big believer that all experiences lead to here. Right? So even though you think the experience was irrelevant or a waste of time or exhausting or a loss, a failure, I don't look at things that way. I think that they all contribute to the here and now. And so, I look back at it and think that even though it was actually a short period of time in the grand scheme of my career, it was very useful for me to experience that contrast to help me identify what I think it should be instead.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And, Steve Jobs has his commencement speech where he says, sometimes you can't understand how things fit in alignment until you're looking backwards and the dots start to connect. So I absolutely love that you've been able to kind of create this business. So I know we touched on it a little bit. Could you take us through a little bit more on what that better way, the better mousetrap, so to speak, is, and how exactly you're serving the clients you work with?
So when I worked for this company, what they did was they worked with business owners and they helped them create a business plan. Sounds like a good idea, right? So I help you create a business plan, and in that business plan, we're going to break that down into manageable components. Again, sounds pretty reasonable. And as a coach, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold you accountable to making sure that you get all the things done in order to reach your goals. Again, sounds perfectly reasonable, right? Except in my mind, I thought, you know what? People know how to create business plans. That's not the issue. The issue is that they don't do what's on the plan, right? Something's getting in the way. They don't execute. And I'm interested in why they don't execute. It's not about the plan creation that's the big issue. It's about why don't they get the things done that they know will lead to their goals? What's stopping them? What's getting in their way? And that's where I was coming from. I didn't think that I should have to hold other people accountable. Like, I have 5 kids as it is. Do I need more people to hold accountable? I thought that's not fun. And not to mention, I'm not the kind of person who likes to be accountable to others, right? Like, that just didn't feel good to me. And I imagine that a lot of leaders, especially entrepreneurs who are extremely driven, they don't want to answer to people. That's why they run their own businesses, right? So now there's a funny problem, right? If they're independently minded and they want to do their own things and they have these goals that they want to achieve, but still something stopping them from reaching those goals, that's the problem I wanted to solve. And so what I figured out was that the thing that was stopping them from achieving their goals was not their abilities or their skill sets or their experiences, but it was the thinking that they had about these problems, about themselves. More specifically, the beliefs they had that were standing in the way of their success. And that's all completely 100% connected to emotional resilience. And so I thought to myself, if I could help people improve their emotional resilience, and if I could help people identify the beliefs that were preventing them from taking those steps and kind of clearing the pathway. So imagine you're on a runway and there's all these obstacles in your way, and I clear the pathway. Now you can take off. And so my job wasn't so much to hold people accountable and create plans for them, but to remove those things, those barriers that they weren't even aware of that were in their way. And so that's how frame of mind coaching came into being.
Nice. I absolutely love that. And I think that, definitely a lot of people that are listening to this probably resonates with them, as you were talking about, having that entrepreneurial spirit, not wanting to answer to people. And sometimes there's that, I guess that tension, and sometimes that you have with, having to, listen to those rules or listen to the way that things are done, when in reality, that's not really what is stopping the execution. It's those blockages, those things that we may not be aware of. And I think that it sounds very empowering for me. And I imagine that you probably get the same kind of response from your clients as well.
Well, here's the thing. As humans, just because we're human, we all have blind spots. And those blind spots really trip us up. The problem is, because they're blind spots, we don't understand them, we can't see them. And all we feel is frustration, disappointment, anger, confusion. Sometimes we have the emotional reaction to experiencing the blind spot, but because we can't see it, we don't know how to deal with it. We don't know how to move it out of the way. And that's where coaching comes into play. Because, again, I have a team of coaches, but I can clearly, easily, quickly see somebody's blind spots. And so what does that do? It accelerates a person's progress, right? When you're working with someone who has experience in seeing what typically trips people up, what happens on the other end is like, oh, wow, I didn't see that. Let's move through it quickly. And so I know that leaders like speed. I like speed too. So I want to help them move fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the best ways to get there fast is to tap into the expertise of others, the experience of others, and you being able to kind of have that niche and ability to be able to see that superpower, so to speak, allows the people that work with you that really valuable opportunity to do that. So would you consider that to be your secret sauce, or the thing you feel kind of sets you apart? Is that ability to kind of see that and help people to kind of move those things out of the way so that they can execute?
So I would say to you that I just have strong instincts. Yes. However, what ended up happening was, once I started coaching people, the people I coached said, how do you do that? Like, what is it that you're doing exactly? Can you teach me? And again, looking back, 15, 16 years ago, I'm like, I don't know. I'm just doing it. But then they pushed me to really figure out what the heck I was doing, how I was doing, and why I was driving the results that we were getting with our clients. And it turned out that there's a logic to this, that there's a framework, that there's a process that I now teach other leaders who are interested in learning how to be more effective leaders by learning how to coach their team members. So now we have a certification process. So, yes, perhaps the secret sauce is just, I have a strong sense for how to move people to a better place. But beyond that, I think it's taking that concept when it was just a concept, when it was intangible, and making it tangible. So now if somebody says, like, what really makes you different from all other coaching programs, I say it's 4 things, right? It's the process that we use for coaching. It's the philosophy and our approach. It's our platform that we use, and it's the people. So every single one of our coaches started off by being a client first. They went through coaching, they had an extraordinary experience, and then they said, how do I learn how to do this? That was unreal. How do I learn how to become a coach? Because I see the value. And so they went through, they literally invested time and money to get certified, to become experts at coaching.
Nice. I absolutely love that. And it's so powerful, especially because you get to see the effect that it has upon your life and sometimes the blockages that we have, and sometimes frustration and inability to be able to get to that next level. But once you see that happening, you're able to do that for your team. And I love that you provide that framework, that opportunity for people to be able to learn those kind of skills or that framework so that they're able to impact even more people, which is extremely powerful.
One of the things that I do is I do a lot of speaking for entrepreneurial groups. And before I speak for any entrepreneurial group, I send them a survey because I want to know, like, how familiar are they with coaching? How exposed are they to coaching concepts and skill sets? And so I ask a whole bunch of questions, but I ask 2 very important questions. One is, how equipped do you feel as a coach? Like, how would you rate your coaching skills on a scale of 1 to 10? The second question I ask is, how satisfied are you with the performance of your team? So I've done this for years. I have literally thousands of people who responded to this survey. And it's amazing because there is a straight line relationship. The more equipped a person feels as a coach with coaching skills, the more satisfied they are with their team's performance. It's a direct relationship. So if you're a leader and you're saying to yourself, how do I dramatically improve my team's performance? Look in the mirror and say, how do you dramatically increase your coaching skills? Right? It's a one-to-one relationship.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And it's so funny, like on our CEO bookshelf, there's this book called It's the Manager, and it's by Gallup, and it's really, big poll, but they talked basically directly to what you just said about how some of the best leaders, the people that make the best impact, that have the most highly performing teams, are coaches. They kind of tap into those certain skills to be able to level up, because they understand it's about really developing that connection to the individual and being able to quote unquote coach them up to be able to achieve success.
It's a game changer, truly.
Absolutely. And so I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I want to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
Hands down, I do this myself, but I tell every single client of mine, like, it's part of our process. Journaling provides insight that is accessible by no other means. So when you journal, you're writing down what you think, what you believe, what your perspectives are. And in that process, you're able to see some of what you can't see otherwise. So journaling is a CEO hack that is, I think, not widely used nearly enough. So there's my hack for the day.
Nice. I absolutely love that. Do you think that there's maybe a big reason why people don't leverage the journaling as much? Is it something that we assume that we have everything or we know everything, we just kind of don't do those
I think
actions?
I think some people know that journaling could be really, really powerful, and some people do gratitude journaling. I'm talking about a little bit of a deeper kind of journaling, but I think they view it as one more thing, one more task, one more assignment, one more, and they look at it as a something that will take time. The truth of the matter is, and again, I see it over and over and over again. When you journal, yes, it takes time, but it saves so much time in frustration, so much time in problem solving, so much time in angry feelings or frustration, so much time that it saves. So journaling is a very, very powerful tool that CEOs can use to really look at how their thinking is impacting the results they're getting, both positively and negatively. It's a learning device, but it's also a device that helps a leader really figure out what they want and where they want to go and how to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely with the juggling of, it seems like hundreds and hundreds of things, a lot of times just getting that practice and having that clarity of mind and be able to think about how you saw the problems or what's problems you even see, putting that pen to pad, so to speak, allows that opportunity to really exercise, obviously, your writing skills, but also your mind and what you're thinking about as well. So absolutely love that hack. And I wanted to ask you now for what I call a CEO nugget. And this could be a word of wisdom or a piece of advice. It might be something you would tell a client, or you hopped into a time machine you might tell your younger business self.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do, and you can tell me if I'm allowed to do it, but I'm going to give your audience an exercise. Is that cool?
Go for it.
Okay, so we talked about journaling. Here's your journaling assignment for the day. Okay, so grab a piece of paper and a pen, write this down. Question number one: what do you really, really want more than anything? Now, there are two reallys there on purpose, not just because I'm exuberant and enthusiastic, but because I want you to think about what you truly, deeply want. Not something that is expected of you, not something that other people want for you, not what your parents have always thought you should have or do or be, but what is it that you truly, deeply want? Question number two, write this down. So what's stopping me from having it? What's getting in the way? And write down all the reasons. And then go back and read what you've written. Read what you want. Make sure that is what you want. Make sure that it's truly what you want, not just a surface level what you want. And then look at all the reasons and start to understand that the reasons that you wrote down are the seed, are the tipping point of your beliefs. And that's actually what is getting in your way. Now, for those of you who are super bold, send me your responses and I will personally review them with you. And my email address is kim@frameofmindcoaching.com, but only if you're bold.
Yes, and I'm definitely hoping and thinking that everybody's listening to this is definitely bold, so they're going to be able to kind of send you those responses. But I think I love that because it begins with the end in mind, and it's one of the things that we often forget about. And by having the hack that you mentioned kind of tied into that, it helps you to do that practice to be able to understand where you're going and maybe start to have an honest look at some of those beliefs that we maybe never have looked at and start to take steps towards asking why is this the truth that I'm living and why is this something that I believe in? And of course, being able to have a conversation with you about that.
Exactly. That's perfect. You said it really well.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And so now I want to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on the show. So Kim, what does being a CEO mean to you?
I mean, for me, being a CEO means getting the chance to design a place, a system, a product, a service, a concept that is a complete reflection of my values, my priorities, my passions, and having it trickle down to the people that serve with me and the people we serve. So, I mean, I think of my business as 100% an extension of me, and I'm privileged with the opportunity to create something like that. That's how I think about it.
Nice. I absolutely love that definition and perspective because like a lot of what we kind of talked about is it sounds like it starts internally. And I think so many times we see CEO or see this is business or this is life, this is how it should be. It's all externally motivated, but really to do the work inside and it starts to manifest itself and ooze through everything that we're doing in the world.
Exactly. I mean, I think that CEOs are extremely privileged to be able to be in the position of true creation, right? I think it's amazing.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal time and a phenomenal opportunity. And I definitely appreciate that. And I appreciate your time even more. What I wanted to do is pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know. And of course, how best they can get a hold of you, listen to your awesome podcast, and find out about all the awesome things that you're working on.
Do they know that you were a guest on my awesome
They will.
podcast?
They
They
will.
will. Okay. Final words is this. Okay. So very often as leaders, there are things we get frustrated with, right? Like there are goals we want to reach that we're not really reaching, or there are people that work for us that aren't necessarily producing, or we have things that we want to do that we don't have time to get to, whatever it is. When you feel a sense of frustration, annoyance, impatience, disappointment, whatever that negative feeling is, typically what leaders do is they say, okay, well, whatever I'm doing now isn't working. I got to go do something different. I got to jump into action. And what I would suggest, again, big concept is don't jump to action. Slow down for a minute. Before you go and change your action, ask yourself, what do I believe to be true about this problem, this situation, this person, this circumstance, and write it down. And what you will notice is that a lot of what you believe is actually not entirely true. We invent a lot of things, and those inventions cause us to feel frustrated, impatient, disappointed. And so before taking action, make sure to realign your beliefs with the goals you have. Because if you try to take action from your existing set of beliefs, what happens is you bump into the same frustrations, disappointments, anger down the road. And so don't take action from this thinking spot. Change your thinking spot. Look at your beliefs, challenge them, and then take action. That's my greatest piece of advice.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I definitely appreciate that. And for people that want to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so two things. Go to frameofmindcoaching.com and look it up. We have a podcast. We have all kinds of cool things on the website. But again, to reach me, it's kim@frameofmindcoaching.com. And I am very responsive. Send me an email. I'd be happy to chat.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And we will definitely have those links and information in the show notes. And as Kim said, I've been a guest on the podcast, so I got some really phenomenal coaching and some really phenomenal opportunity to kind of learn from the best at how I can definitely kind of level up in everything that I'm doing. So truly appreciate you, Kim, for all you're doing and the time you took with us today. And I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
It was an honor and a pleasure. Thank you so much.